knows that this could happen.
He gets the bat signal, you know, when it's at risk.
Ross Merriam got the closest, 1 game away when we were in Providence, but Dave Shields stopped him. We'll see if Josh Hand can stop John Farrow from getting closer. As John on a mulligan to 6 here, Jace and a Terminus in hand, along with a Flooded Strand and an Arid Mesa, Sensei's Divining Top, plus a Volcanic Island in place, like a Taxian Probe, providing Hand with the information, seeing that the coast is clear. Let's see if he has maybe a turn 1 win. That could be scary.
I think this matchup is better for Storm than a lot of people assume. Now, if the Miracles player opens on Divining Top into Counterbalance, that's really bad for Storm. But they don't have a lot of time to get that assembled. And as you can tell by looking at John's hand, there's a lot of dead or inefficient cards as well. And Storm is ruthless.
Some people on Twitter are saying, I need to beat Jerry in the finals of the Legacy Open for the back-to-back. I agree.
That would be sweet.
That would be very good. A Flooded Strand there for Farrow. I think that might just be his turn.
My best case scenario with all of this is just as much shuffling of the deck as you can do for the Players' Championship is what I'm really excited about.
Oh, you want me to mix it up?
Oh, yeah.
Somehow, okay. I'm the live grenade in the tournament.
Exactly.
I play against someone who's,
if we have to,
5-3. Will you concede? No.
Absolutely not.
No, I won't. I came to play. An island searched up here by Josh.
You got to get this match slip out of my cold, dead hand.
There's a brainstorm. I have no idea. This is the first. I have no idea what on earth that land is.
I'm guessing it's a polluted delta.
That's what I think is. Yeah. It takes a lot for me not to know what a card is. Even when we were at the Grand Prix, when Lamb had the blacked out cards, I could tell you. But that one that's egregious. It's too much. Why would you treat your delta that way?
No reason not to now. They got reprinted.
Yeah, it's just a freebie at this point. The cards just don't retain value. Gonna sacrifice the delta, search up the land. Underground Sea.
See, you don't see the whiteout over this guy's Underground Sea. You know why? Not reprinting that one.
Not yet. They're coming back.
The reserve list, maybe that's a podcast topic sometime in the near future.
Oh, that could be funsies.
Yep.
Does game designer Patrick have strong feelings about that?
I do.
We have ourselves a Cabal Therapy. He's working with some pretty good information, too, so. And there goes the Jace. Brainstorm Terminus, along with an Arid Mesa, are the cards here for John.
I think John needs to be searching pretty aggressively here for some sort of improvement to his hand. I don't know if he can really afford to draw Snapcaster Mage right now. I think that might just be too slow.
Yeah, not at this point. It does make you wonder if he knows what he's up against, though.
It's got to be some sort of combo deck.
Yeah.
You don't see Cabal Therapy and cantrips otherwise.
It's a ponder. Sensei's Divine Top among the cards here for Josh. You see his hand, a Cabal Ritual, Infernal Tutor, a Brainstorm, a Probe, and a Lotus Petal. So a couple of cards going to go back, going to keep it with the Ponder. He'll take another Ponder. And now we'll Ponder again, so a little bit deeper into the deck. Scalding Tarn among those cards. That's the new one. Let's see if he's happy with what he's found. Looks like he is. So he'll take the Tarn, resolve the Ponder. Hasn't played land yet for the turn, so he'll play the Tarn. See if there's anything else to do. Just pass the turn back.
I don't think he's quite in a position just yet to get empty-handed for the Infernal Tutor, but I think next turn he may be able to fire off everything.
Sure.
And I like sitting on the Gataxian Probe, trying to get to know if the coast is clear. He's not going to be working with perfect information in any case, because Sensei's Divine Top is going to allow John at least one blind draw, and he can probably do better than that.
Spin that top. Take a look at a couple cards. Will Farrow. Couple cards going to go back. And perhaps it's time to brainstorm. So he'll draw 3. Of course, he knows these 3 cards from spinning the top. Put 2 back. And
It's
then
a
we'll
lot
probably
of-
see him fetch.
A lot of selection out of all of this was just good for him.
Yeah, it's a pretty good turn. Put away the trash, find the goods. That's just the power of brainstorm and fetch lands, my friend.
But still, a lot of pressure on John to pick up some help here. Some sort of counterspell, some sort of disruption. Because I think Josh's going to be ready to go next turn.
I can't imagine it's going to take him much longer, right? He's been taking a sweet old time as far as the Storm player is concerned. They can go off as early as turn 1.
Well, John's hand was so bad that there wasn't a huge rush for Josh to do anything. There's still the risk of John finding Force of Will, and maybe that complicates matters, but I don't mind Josh slow playing it a little bit.
John going to draw for his turn here. He's got a Jace again. But Jace not an all-star in this matchup. There are definitely certain situations where it's good, but got a long way to go until we get there.
I just don't know if John can really tap out for Jace this turn.
Yeah, I don't think so. You have to feel as though you're representing something, right?
Because he has Ponder, Snapcaster, Brainstorm in hand, he has a lot more looks at Force of Will. And even better, he can always rest the Force of Will on top of his deck and have access to it at a moment's notice with Divining Top. So he's safe from even Cabal Therapy and all that. But if he Jaces, he's really only looking at the top 3.
Oh, there's Ponder.
I like the sequencing much better.
Force of Will among those cards. There's also a Terminus and a Ponder. So I like taking the Force of Will, give myself a little bit of protection. But hiding it might be okay because you can just draw it anytime you need to atop.
Exactly. I don't think John ever wants it resting in his hand. It's going to be much harder for Josh to go off through a Force of Will that's on top of John's deck rather than a Force of Will in his hand. Cabal Therapy, Duress.
Josh going to search up a land here, just trying to figure out which one he wants. He'll go with the Volcanic Island off the Scalding Tarn.
And the Terminus floating up there is very nice for John as well, because the alternate way that Josh has to win is empty the Warrens, which is something that's harder to stop through Force of Will.
See if Josh is ready to continue moving on. He does have a Brainstorm he can play in a turn if he'd like, but he'll just untap and take a draw, find another land at Scalding Tarn. And here's a Brainstorm. Thumbs up, draw 3. 1's a Cabal Ritual, 2's a Delta, 3 is another copy of Brainstorm, put 2 back. Tarn. Sacrifice that, make it a good Brainstorm. Put the bad cards back in the deck. There's an Underground Sea. So is it go time yet here for the Storm player?
It's not getting better.
The longer you go, the worse it gets, right?
You're giving him more opportunities to float. Now, the fact that John kept with the Ponder, just probably aware that that means that something's up, but I don't know if there's much to be done about it.
Sure. There's Brainstorm again. So a ton of manipulation here. There's a Past in Flames, a Swamp, and another Brainstorm. But nothing all that exciting going on just yet. Sometimes you don't see this often with Storm, but sometimes there are games like this where it's just, infinite manipulation and have difficulty finding the necessary cards to go off.
Well, I think he might have been able to do a little bit different things with the ponders and the brainstorms here to get to empty-handed if that was his goal. But I think he may feel like that's no longer good.
It's a probe. This is dangerous because the coast looks clear if you're Josh. You see a Jace, you see a Snapcaster and a Ponder, and you say, okie dokie.
I think Josh is aware enough, though, that if John kept with that Ponder, it means he's got to be floating Force of Will. There's no way he just keeps random blue cards that aren't Force of Will at this point with the Ponder. He would have to shuffle.
Well, at the very least, John is going to try to trick him into thinking he can go off here. But Josh is just going to pass the turn back. Here's a Snapcaster Mage. It's going to flash back a Brainstorm. And here come 3 cards. 2 cards, of course, will have to go back.
Justin Mathis and Nicholas Tibbetts, please report to the stage. Justin Mathis and Nicholas Tibbetts to the stage, please.
But I think that is Farrow's plan, is to set quite the trap with the Force of Will on top of the deck with Sensei's Divining Top.
And Josh is fairly low already just from fetch lands and Gitaxian probes and so forth, so the Snapcaster is going to kill him pretty quickly.
Spin that top on upkeep. John's going to draw planes. Hit for 2. Put you down at 10. Ad nauseam may not be an option this game. Though he does have passive flames already. So there's the planes and just a passing of the turn. John's going to try to hold steady with just 1 Force of Will, though it's on top of his deck. There's Brainstorm. 3 cards coming. 1 is a Dark Ritual, 2 is a Lion's Eye Diamond, 3 is a Cabal Therapy. And those are the kind of cards that make you want to get moving.
I think Josh is probably guessing that there is a Force Will hanging around on the top of John's deck, but I don't know if there's much to be done, and he does not have that much time. So even though the writing is on the wall, Josh's hand may be forced.
This might be a situation where you half go off, or you try to go off and you know it's going to get stopped, and then you go off again with Passing Flame, something like that.
That's an option. That's a lot of mana.
Well,
but Josh does have a lot of mana here. He's got 2 Cabal Rituals and a Dark Ritual. And when the player deploys their Lion's Eye Diamond, that means they're going for it.
absolutely. Spell 3 is a Dark Ritual. Three black mana floating. John will help him out. Make sure he knows exactly what's happening too. Spell number 4 is a Cabal Ritual, and we got Threshold for that one. So -2 plus 5, that'll get you up to 6. Cabal Ritual will be spell number 5. -2 again, put you down to 4. Plus 5 will get you up to 9. But where does he go from here? Cabal Therapy, spell 6. And now down to 8 black mana floating. He'll name a card. There goes the Mind Sculptor. We'll have to change those dice.
This does not appear to be a man who's half going off.
No, this is full go. Gonna use 2 black mana. Cast an Infernal Tutor. So he's down to 6 black. That's spell number 7. Gonna rearrange the top of the deck. Draw the Force of Will. Kablow. Remove a blue card. There you go. Now here's the thing to keep in mind. Yes, Josh he's done for this turn. But we know there's a Passing Flames floating around up there.
Yeah, you can sacrifice Lion's Eye Diamond. Put the Passing Flames in his graveyard, flash it back.
He has
And
ways
try
to
again.
Yeah, he can go off again. That's the important thing. You take a look at those top couple of cards here. There's a Brainstorm among them. So if you're John, you need to find another copy of Force of Will or some sort of counterspell at this point. Now there's an attack for 2. Josh is going to go down to 8. But this is why Passing Flames is so powerful in this deck.
It's almost just, it's very rarely that this is coming up.
No, we don't see this often. Yeah, now you just hard cast Bastion Flames. Bang. Just like that. And then you can sacrifice the LED for black mana.
Yep.
And rock and roll again.
There we go.
And as long as he's able to cast enough spells, and I think he's got enough life to do so because he's got a couple of Gataxian probes down there, and with John being in 16, not 20.
And he's got a Dark Ritual and 2 Cabal Rituals. He's got a lot to play with.
Now if you're John, as you turn that down, you could cast Brainstorm if you want to, but all that's going to do is add to the spell count. You know the cards.
Well, at this point, the ship may have sailed on the spell count. I think John's dead if this thing resolves.
Sure. 3 black mana. We'll go down to 1. Excuse me, down to 2. Here's a Cabal Therapy. Wants to make sure the coast is clear. Little surprised to see the therapy here simply because if the coast wasn't clear, I think the Bastion Flames just would have gotten countered.
I don't know what piece of disruption John could have at this point that you would not have already seen.
Yep. Spell 2 nonetheless. He's going to Cabal Therapy again.
Oh, this is really nice.
Yeah.
Because this forces, he can take the Brainstorm if John does nothing, or
He can Enforce Will.
yeah, he can try again. Very good sequencing here by Josh.
Yep, that's spell 3. 1 black mana left.
Josh is one crafty dude.
Yeah. Terminus is the last card. Green light's on. You can beat a Terminus, I can promise you that. Dark Ritual is up to 3. That's spell number 4. Next up, you have to imagine it's Cabal Ritual. So -2 puts you down to 1. +5, that'll put you up to 6 black. That's spell number 5.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah. Another one of those. That'll put you up to 9. That's spell number 6. You can even cast some probes for freebies if you'd like.
Just to pump up the storm count a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Should Infernal Tutor first so you can get your tendrils, and then you can flash back the probes.
Very smart. Don't want to make that mistake. Cast Infernal Tutor.
Just probe first, randomly draw something that you can't cast.
Yeah. That's spell number 7.
Given how beautifully Josh has sequenced all of this, that would be a pretty tough way to go.
Yeah. So Tendrils is in the grip. He's going to probe. See a Terminus. Draw a card. Think he might probe again. See another card. Just making sure everything's A-OK, which we know that it is. There's an LED, even more spells, and now Tendrils for a whole bunch. Josh Hand going to win game number 1 here over John Farrow. Storm up a game over Miracles after a very well-played game there by Josh.
You want to know why people like this deck? The people who really played a lot. Beating a Force of Will floating on the top there is really hard to do.
Yep.
And Josh is able to pull it off.
Well, let's take a look at the sideboards, and we will take a look at Mr. Farrow's to begin. I'm looking at a Pyroclasm, a Council's Judgment, 2 Vendilion Clicks, a Wear and Tear, a Pyroblast, 2 Red Elemental Blast, Luster Storm, Spell Pierce, a Hydroblast, a Blue Elemental Blast, 2 copies of Containment Priest and Engineer Explosives. A lot of permission over here.
I like bringing in the Spell Pierce, the Flusterstorm, the Red Blast, the Pyro Blast, the 2 copies of Mendilian Click. It's just some good answers. Some soft disruption, and I really like bringing in the clicks to speed up his pressure.
What do we see on the other side?
2 Abrupt Decay, 2 Change of Vapor, a Pyroclasm, 2 Massacres, 2 Xanthosworn, an Ad Nauseum, 2 copies of Lightning Bolt, 3 copies of Dark Confidant. I like bringing in the 3 copies of Dark Confidant, the 2 copies of Chain of Vapor. I'm skeptical of Xanthosworn in the matchup, and I think Ad Nauseum may be a good card to bring in if he assumes his graveyard may not be live.
Well, players are going to sideboard. Game number 2 will be underway in just a moment. We'll take a look at our 2015 Open Series schedule for Season 1. We talked about the changes a little bit earlier today. If you guys haven't seen the changes to the Open Series, definitely head over to StarCityGames.com. President of the company, Pete Huffling, did put together a little article for you on the select side to let you know exactly what will be taking place. But here's where we're going to be. We'll start it up in Columbus.
And when you say we, you mean you and I, because we're going to be doing all the January shows together.
Yep.
Columbus, Philly, a weekend off, then DC and Indianapolis to close out January. Then we move over to Houston, Los Angeles, Baltimore, which will be modern. Grand Prix Miami, which will be standard. Stay tuned to MagicGP.com for more information as we get a little bit closer to that event. Then we over to Dallas and then Richmond for the Invitational at the end of March.
It's going to be a fun set. It's going to be a lot of traveling, a lot of Magic, but really, really looking forward to it. We've got some Standard Opens, some Legacy Opens, some Modern Opens, a Grand Prix, an Invitational too. Punch and Jigger for the Players' Championship for next year. It's going to be a sweet. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are too. Come on by when we stop by your city for a $20,000 two-day Open.
A lot of money. First prize, $5,000 at all these Opens. Whichever format the main event is not, there will be an IQ for both of them.
Yep.
So if you like playing Standard, Modern, or Legacy, there'll be something to do each weekend.
We got them all. We got them all. Josh Hand likes playing Legacy. He's up a game here with Storm. I think I like this matchup for Storm, though it can't be close. Obviously, everything's different when they have a counterbalance, but when they don't, I think Storm's actually probably the favorite.
I agree. Like I said earlier, I think it's a common misconception that Miracles is just awesome against Storm. Your best draws are great, but we saw John there. He found a Force of Will. He had a Divining Top, but he also was sitting there with too many, Terminus, Jace the Mind Sculptor type of cards that he could not deploy on time.
John Farrow's going to play first. He's going to keep his hand. How about Josh Hand? Things do get a lot better for John after sideboard. He's got a lot of cheap permission.
I think Josh has got a good sideboard for the matchup too. Usually these Storm players, I think they're bringing nothing to the table, but the option of going to Abrupt Decay, Xantid Swarm, and Dark Confidant, really good options here for Josh.
Ponder here for Farrow to start it off. You always have to be scared too when playing against Storm because you can die on turn one.
It has happened to me.
Yeah.
In the top 8 of an Open.
I am sorry to hear that. You were probably playing what, Zoo? Burn?
Burn.
Yeah. You just deserve it then.
Not a great matchup. And this was pre Eidolon. Not that Eidolon would have assisted with the turn 1 kill, but
Yes. Fluted Delta will be sacrificed. Hand's going to go down to 19. John Farrow does have Force of Will as protection in his hand, though. You can see it there. There's the Underground Sea.
really impressed with the game 1 that Josh put together there. I think that might have been our best played game of the weekend thus far.
I think so. Just going off, knowing that you can get stopped by a counterspell, but being able to go off again. Taking it all up correctly. It's always fun to watch very good Storm players play. Here's a Ponder. Tendril's a Probe among those cards.
I cannot say no to a Gataxian Probe and a Cabal Therapy together. That is peanut butter and jelly.
Absolutely. It's like lamb and tuna fish. It's really good.
Is that a combo?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really good. Spaghetti and meatballs?
Sure.
Yeah. Another combo.
Perhaps better known than lamb and tuna.
Gonna sacrifice the Delta. There's a Trop. Perhaps somebody's got a busy bee.
Yeah, the tropical islands here facilitate just the sideboard cards, Xantid Swarm and Abrupt Decay.
Sometimes we see a splash for Carpet of Flowers too.
Yeah, no carpets here. I think Josh's anti-control cards are the Dark Confidants.
Yeah. But willingly searching that up. There's a Probe. You must be in heaven. Force of, okay. 2 Force of Wills along with the Source of Plowshares of Brainstorm. And 2 Volcanic Islands.
Really important for Brainstorm to be in this hand. Really important.
Yeah. Cantripping, Dark Ritual. Was the draw. You see that juicy therapy. When do you cast that one? Do you even do anything right now? Might just pass the turn back.
So this brainstorm here, I can understand that John's looking for action, but I think there is a lot of danger. Because the information that your opponent knows about now, they know you're probably not shuffling away Force of Wills. I guess in the event that Josh goes for it and casts a Cabal Therapy, you just get to brainstorm. If you brainstorm back the Force of Wills, you're naked on protection that turn.
So he's going to need Cabal Therapy anyway.
So I guess John's hand is just forced.
Or he'll name Force of Will then anyway. Though you could brainstorm into other permission spells, and then he names Force of Will, and you have a Flusterstorm staring back at him. So there's a risk either way. Flusterstorm's the draw. There's a Delta. Tarn the draw. Probe again. Flusterstorm. Chase. Swords. 2 forces. And a Volcanic Island. A little surprising to see Swords still in the deck. Maybe these players know each other.
Maybe he's aware of Xanthid Swarm or
Dark Confidant. Yeah. Cabal Therapy the draw. Now you can rip his hand to shreds, or at least try to. This could get interesting. Therapy U. How does John want to move now? Therapy is such a great weapon for these Storm decks.
Very nice when you only care about one card.
Mm-hmm. Flusterstorm. Pay it. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to, actually. Since you start off with a probe that, yeah, so he won't actually be able to pay it, so that's a touch awkward.
Yeah, there's basically 3 Flusterstorms going on.
He forgot about the probe that he cast. Jace, the draw. A slight misstep there for Josh, but he won't be punished too badly. No counterbalance or anything like that now.
Josh gets to fire off basically the same sequence next turn, assuming that all John is doing is brainstorming with Jace here. You can go ahead, he can Therapy Force of Will. Shields are down one way or the other, and if he has a hand that's capable of killing, he can kill it.
Well, there's the Jace. Brainstorm. Looks like a couple copies of Sensei's Divining Top.
Actually looks like 3 copies.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too, which that's a first. Couple cards gonna have to go back here. Pass the turn back. Will Farrow over to hand. Handle draw Lotus Petal. Gonna play a Scalding Tarn. This is a Cabal Therapy. That's a Force of Will, removing Jace the Mind Sculptor. Gotta protect that hand. Unfortunately here for hand, he's got nothing else to do. So Farrow will draw. It's time to brainstorm very quickly. Arid Mesa among the cards, so we'll be able to fetch, put some of these bad cards away that he doesn't need.
Though oddly enough, I think John's hand might have been shields down last turn because he didn't have a second blue card. His hand was Force of Will and a bunch of tops.
And the problem here for Josh is he doesn't have anything to go off with yet. He doesn't have an Infernal Tutor. Brainstorm will be helpful. So he's trying to figure out what land he wants to cast this off of. He's going to use the Tropical Island, so it's only a green source. See if this resolves. It will. So 3 cards coming here. Abrupt Decay and Brainstorm among them. There's also a Badlands there. Badlands very quickly goes back. Looks like Lotus Petal will as well. So in answer to counterbalance, well, he's got that.
But still, nothing to go off with. No answer to Force of Will. Josh still with a lot of work to do.
We'll sacrifice the fetch land right now. See what land he wants to dig up here.
Your top 8 are as follows. Coming in first place with 18 points, Jeff Oakley.
There's a there's an Underground Sea, not a Volcanic Island. Top 8 of our modern IQ being announced right now. Jeff Hoogland making top 8 there. Big for him.
First place overall
Yep.
at the end of the Swiss.
That is a big, big deal for him.
Logan Mize.
Logan Mize making the top 8 of that as well. Those players looking for Open Series points
17 points.
to solidify their invite to the Players' Championship.
Jesse Butler.
And Josh has just picked up the pass in flames.
Oh, we could have this again.
7th is Tyler Bedford. And 8th is Samir Laswal.
Pass the turn back.
All right, we will be posting your standings. We give a few minutes to review.
We saw this last game. We can see it again here.
Official. If you have made the top 8, please.
John gonna sacrifice the fetch land. Get a good look at some new cards here with Sensei's Divining Top. But it feels like things are right now in John Farrow's grip right now. I like where he's at.
I agree, and it's much harder in the post-board games for Josh to go off with try to go off and then untap and try to go off again through Pass in Flames, because John has access to a lot more counter spells. Game 1, he's basically just playing against Force of Will. Not really the case post-board.
32, you need to get in line, my friend Matt, right here.
We're fate sealing now. Changing gears.
Stay in this line, stay in this line.
Farrow says, you can keep it. Sacrifice the fetch land. See if Josh looks at the top card, see if he was tricking him. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, you will need tax information.
That old chestnut.
Yep, it was a Lotus Petal.
If you need tax information,
I would do the same thing.
But you gotta at least check.
Yeah, you gotta know. You trying to level me? Huh? See what Josh draws for the turn. An island. He'll put that into play. He does have a red source of mana out there in Badlands.
I don't think he has a second red source though, so he can't pass and try again in the same turn, though that might not be his plan anyway.
Well, he's doing something, because he's got some Dark Ritual. So that's spell 1/3 black. How about another one? 2 spells, 5 black. Pass in Flames.
With therapies in the graveyard, I don't feel like John can let this resolve.
It's a little scary. And spell 3, 2 black mana floating.
and if you made top 32 in the Modern Premier IQ, we're handing out prize now. Come up to the stage,
I think
Looks like he
John.
is.
I think John let it in.
Okay.
you'll be able to get your prize.
Well, he's going to use that entire graveyard as a resource now. Going to spin the top. This is a Cabal Therapy. 1 black floating. That's spell number 4. Spins the top.
He doesn't have multiple ways to hide the Force of Will either.
Yeah, so Force of Will is going to bite the dust. You see the cards Ponder and Source of Plowshares. So if you're rooting for John Farrow, here's hoping the top of his deck is good, because that's all he's got to work with now. Josh is going to cast Cataxian Probe for free. That's spell number 5. He'll draw a card. He's trying to go off this turn.
And it's possible we're reaching the point where even a Force of Will is not going to be enough to stop Josh. These are just been some brilliantly executed games here from Josh.
Another Cataxian Probe. Spell 6. He'll get to draw another card, of course. Now it's a Ponder. That's spell 7. Still black mana floating. He does not like what he sees. He's shuffling very quickly. Mystery card coming. We're going to see what it is.
Yeah, his hand is still just mana.
Probe. He's at 8. Lethal doesn't matter all that much. So he will probe. We know about the Ponder and the Swords. The Therapy that is drawn is the new card. A couple copies of that over there. Now it's time for a Brainstorm. Petal, Diamond, Delta. Not the most exciting bunch. He's going to see if he can keep going, though. Spell 8, still 1 black floating.
I still just don't think he's found a payoff card yet.
I don't think so. He got a lot of looks at it.
Yes.
Decay, therapy go back. Delta going to come into play, sack.
He still has a probe in the graveyard, so he has, I believe, at least one more look.
Can he get there? Brainstorm. He is certainly trying. 10 spells. There's an Infernal Tutor. He's got a bunch of rubbish in his hand, but he has found an Infernal Tutor. Now he's just got to figure out what cards to put back. Remember, he's only got 1 black mana floating.
Although he does have a Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yep. You can see there's a Dark Ritual in his hand, too.
Standard open trial. Your round 4 is ready. Your judge
A couple cards go back from Brainstorm.
has your round 4 in his hands.
Does he remember he has that black mana floating? Well, he's going to cast Cabal Therapy. He wants to take care of the Ponder, which does a little. Doesn't do a lot because he's got 5 mana available, so he can hard cast Force of Will. I understand what Josh is trying to do there, which is take care of the blue card so you can't cast Force if you just draw with top, but you can just hard cast it. So here's a Dark Ritual, 3 black mana.
It means he can't spin top and find Force of Will, which I guess is a small thing here, but
Paddle, LED. Cabal Ritual. Infernal Tutor. Break this. Do you have a Force of Will on top of your deck? He says, no, I do not. You may search.
I don't even know if that matters because he could have floated red and had a Passive Flames re-up,
Sure.
even if there's a counterspell.
Josh Hand's going to win it.
Unbelievable.
He gets the job done with Storm over John Farrow playing Miracles. 2 games to 0. A very, very impressive display there from Josh.
That was great. I do not believe I've ever seen Josh Hand play before. That was excellent.
Yep. Someone who's clearly been doing this for a little while.
Those were not easy draws to beat.
Yeah.
You had to beat Force of Will floating around and a lot of disruption.